Previously on No Reserves Radio.
Oh my God, Angelo! Come on, have some self-respect. The Eagles can't hurt you if you don't constantly pander to them.
Here's the biggest indictment of Dame that I can say. Dame has been so off this year that Ren went on live air and said Jalen Brunson deserved an all-star start over him.
You are now Angelo Didululo.
Do you think it is possible that the management of the Memphis Grizzlies are just buying into the reckless youth movement and they got rid of the one person in the locker room that probably was telling Ja to knock it off?
Because he's taken advantage of me multiple times when I was younger. That sounded bad. Holy shit.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think you're correct in that assessment.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of No Reserves Radio. I'm your host, Angelo, and another day, another Thursday night football game Alex did not predict.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Yeah, so that didn't go all that great. Not the best of games from us. Like that team again. I kind of said that we weren't contenders when we did the contenders pretenders show a bit ago. So yeah.
What do you think about 52 pass attempts for Geno? That's jarringly high for the Seahawks. Granted, I guess you were behind most of the game anyway. So as
that's
I predicted,
back-to-back games in which we haven't been able to set up the run whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean your boy Kenneth Walker, he's been struggling. He's been looking closer to Zach Charbonnet than the running back you touted.
I
Zach
think it's
Charbonnet
more like no, because Zach Charbonnet, when he gets the ball, is still the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
So, not the best. I don't know. I feel like the main issue is the scheme of the run game really isn't working, or the O-line really isn't blocking well enough for the run scheme that we're running. So I feel like it's a mix up there. I didn't really think it's anything on the running backs in general. They are being used, especially Kenneth Walker. I mean, 8 catches for a guy that people used to say that he can't catch because he didn't do it at Michigan State or Michigan State, yeah. So remember that, Angelo? Who said that he couldn't catch and that his profile was very shitty for catching the football? Who was it, Angelo? Remind me, please.
I don't know about all that, but what I do know is Isaac Guerendo just had the best rookie running back performance of all the rookies from this class last
I'm
night.
kind of thinking who are the rookie running backs from this class, and I'm drawing the blank.
Brooke, Blake Corum, Trey Benson.
Got it. So the backups and a guy who's injured.
There's one. There's Isaac Guerendo.
Hey, you called it, right? You kind of called it. You put some bad juju on CMC, then you put some bad juju on Jordan Mason, and all of a sudden, Isaac Guerendo is starting on week 6.
He got the most carries.
I mean, Jordan Mason is banged up. I believe it's a shoulder injury that they're shaking up on. Yep. So, hey, I don't know what black juju you made there, or kind of a weird spell you threw. It's called what?
Just call me the prophet, man. I told you. With the running backs, I got this. I got this.
But you also told me that Kenneth Walker can't catch. So I'm like, I'm not sure.
But if I'm not mistaken, I also said Breece Hall was the better running back. I don't know about you, but I think Breece Hall is still the better running back, man.
How's Breece Hall been doing, by the way? Just so we know.
Well, the entire New York Jets organization isn't doing well, so you could just replace that with any New York Jet player, and you'd have the same effect. Hey, how's Aaron Rodgers doing? How's Garrett Wilson doing?
Garrett Wilson last week did okay. I just want to point out that Kenneth Walker has missed 2 games. So he only has 4 games played versus Brees Hall's, what, 5 games played so far? And Kenneth Walker right now is running back. I want to say he's a top 10 running back, but I want to give you the exact number. Kenneth Walker right now is running back 6 on the season on 2 last games. The catching machine of Kenneth Walker, that is. Because this week, 8 catches for 37 yards. Last week, 7 catches for 57 yards. So he's at 8 targets on back-to-back weeks. For a guy who can't catch, that's quite impressive, huh? Would you say?
Hmm. I'm just happy Isaac Guerrero is about to be running back one in this draft class, and he's about to take off with that role. We're going to be saying Christian McCaffrey who very soon.
I want to press X for doubt. Because CMC should be back in November. That's the latest that I've heard. Early
Yeah, we
November
also
he should
thought
be
he was
back.
going to be back in, October and then September.
But this one seems very certain. Like this one doesn't seem to be like a wishful thinking here. It really feels like it is actually what's happening. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe you got a running back one for the rest of the season. That would require CMC to stay out. That would require Mason to stay out. So I don't know. But hey, for right now, Guerrero is the man. At the moment that we're recording this, Guerrero is the man. Like the only other Elfie Niners running back right now is Patrick Taylor, which
Damn straight.
by default, Guerrero has won the round.
Saying, man.
Okay, so that was not a good week for us.
All
Us,
for
the
you.
Seahawks fans, that is.
Okay.
This past game on Thursday Night Football. One thing that again correlates to what we've seen so far, with the Niners and their defense. They once again had another big lead, and they were teetering there. Like in the fourth quarter, Seahawks were down by 1 score only, I believe, and I believe it wasn't even a touchdown. So they were only down by, I want to say it was 4 or 5. I would have to check back on that, but they were down under a touchdown after trailing for like I believe it was 16-3 entering the half. So again, they weren't really getting drives going on the second half. The defense was looking a bit sluggish. There was a touchdown catch from DK Metcalf at the end of that game before the Lockett one. That happened when the game still had over, I want to say, 6 minutes left. And if that touchdown got erased by a penalty, if that touchdown counts, it's probably a different game there. Um, so again, I feel like this Niners team is kind of dubious right now. So, and last week we know what happened. We haven't talked about it yet, and I guess I'll start by there. I'll have a mini rant here. We talked about this last episode, the one that dropped on Thursday. That this Niners team, especially this Niners defense, reminds me a whole lot about the Chargers from last season with Brandon Staley when they were up, but it never, even when they were up, you never truly felt safe, and they were blowing up games with Brandon Staley in charge. And you know who is the assistant head coach? You know who's the assistant to the head coach in San Francisco?
Who's that?
One Brandon Staley.
Oh my God.
So it's bleeding into the 49ers. How do you feel, Angel, knowing the team that you used to love, the Chargers, last season, and the team that you always love to pound the table, that they are going to sacrifice teams and
Hmm.
whatnot? How does it
Hmm.
feel that Staley is now attached to both teams?
You know, it's okay. Everything is okay. Because even Staley can't ruin the 49ers.
Hey, they're kind of ruined. Like, aren't they like 3-3, if I'm not mistaken? for the powerhouse that were the San Francisco 49ers, I don't know about all that, man.
Hmm.
But yeah, like that Niners team really doesn't do it for me. I feel like
Stop
the
it.
game they lost versus the Cardinals again, they were up by a lot um, across the almost the entirety of the game. Then they blew the game in the end. The same thing that they did versus the Rams, for example, as well. The Vikings also just another loss on their record. Like I don't know, maybe they're facing good teams. I don't think like the Rams when they faced them, when they were depleted of offensive linemen and wide receivers and defense in general, are
Defense.
necessarily are necessarily a good team, or this Cardinals team that tends to have like a
No,
good 15 minute in them always and then just disappears. I don't think there
I
are good
I'm
teams though.
genuinely starting to think Matthew Stafford might be one of the most underrated quarterbacks of all time.
Um, yeah, but it's
Would you,
still like
would you not
they
give this man his flowers for the things he can do and the accomplishments he has done? I mean, because we just see the Detroit era, we're just like, oh, he failed to get it done in Detroit. Bitch, he was the only one there after Calvin left for a long, long time, and they didn't get good until after they traded him.
Hey, I
Like,
generally agree that Stafford is kind of underrated, but it's still like for my point here that they should have beaten that Rams team because they were depleted. Like Stafford can only throw the football, like he can't actually catch the ball. Um,
go
so I mean they had no one.
on.
They had no one there catching the football in those games. They had no Puka. They had no Cup. So you can only do so much. But I agree. Like he's usually undervalued and underappreciated. I'd say.
Hmm. No one's going to consider this man for the Hall of Fame, and it's going to be a tragedy. I'm not saying it's guaranteed he should be in. I'm just saying I don't think we're even going to have the discussion, and I do think that Stafford is at least worthy of that discussion.
Yeah, I generally agree with you. I think that he is undervalued and he should probably be in that discussion. I mean, he has a Super Bowl ring, and he has a very full, let's put it like that, very full of achievements just in general career. So I
Yep.
agree with you.
But anyway, you're a 49ers hater, but even the 49ers hobbled on one leg was still able to, not well, not over. I was going to say overcome. Well, yeah, I guess that would be the proper word. The 49ers team were not able to overcome the curse of you picking the Seahawks. They knew it. Like I'm pretty sure at halftime they talked about it, and then they just had to, they just had to get the job done. They knew. Even being
Hey,
banged up is not good enough to for the curse of Alex to prevent. I'm just saying.
so now tell me, what happened to your Bengals that the curse of Angelo did them wrong?
There ain't no curse. They've had so the
They
Bengals
are
have
coached
always
by
started off
idiots.
slow. They have always started off slow, and I think it is a combination. It's not just one thing. It's not just their Zach Taylor deserves to be criticized. It's Zach Taylor does deserve to be criticized for some of his decisions, specifically with the offensive play calling at the end of close games. I think the defense has regressed mightily. This is not the same Bengals defense that I remember even from a year ago. And just some of it's just bad luck, dude. Like really bad luck. Like the long snapper not being able to corral the football on a game-winning field goal. Like, what do you do? That's just bad luck.
What do you do? What do you do?
What do you do? When you have all three, I'm dead serious. What do you do when you have all three?
I
Because here's the thing.
think
Here's what
that
you're
the
about to do. You're about to lambast Zach Taylor and maybe even go as far as calling for his head. This is the same organization that kept Marvin Lewis hired for over a decade. I don't think Mike Brown gives two shits about the performance that's happening right now and more or less the money he can make off of Zach Taylor and the fact that the team is the most profitable it's ever been. It's the most successful it's ever been, even with this season.
Okay. What I think you should do, and maybe this is like some wild ass concept that people are
It is for
just gonna be
Cincinnati.
maybe, but I'm not gonna say fire the dude. I think he probably should be fired eventually because I mean he's living off of that Super Bowl run more than the this is a analogy that I always like to say.
Marvin
Uh,
Lewis literally stayed on because he had 500, like nine, well, not 9-8 anymore, 8-8 seasons back in the day, and we lost to the fucking Houston Texans. By the way, not like prime Deshaun Houston Texans or the CJ Stroud led Houston Texans. We lost to such quarterbacks as fucking like, I forget his first name, but Schaub. Who's the other one? There was the Texans had three different quarterbacks in the three losses that they handed us.
is
And
that
I
like
can't name you
Matt
any of them other than
Schaub, Brian
Matt Schaub, other
Howard?
than Matt Schaub. Brian
Isn't that like one of them as well, Brian Hoyer? And then there was. Don't tell me that you know
the other one was a lifelong backup.
you couldn't have lost to
Like,
Brock Osweiler, could you? No, I don't think like Brock
no,
did
we didn't lose
anything
to
there.
Brock Osweiler. No, no,
So
no.
that's a win in my book.
But but that's the thing. You understand that yes, this is not acceptable for a team that has high aspirations. The Cincinnati Bengals historically have not had high aspirations. Up until a few years ago, we had the lowest winning percentage of all the teams in the NFL. That includes the Browns. So I don't think you lambasting the Bengals is like as much of a flex as you think it is.
I was just going to say again. We look back at okay, so I can say last week. We look back at week four's games, right? And what do we see? We
Ravens.
see a no. We see on week four. We saw a matchup of the Jets and the Broncos in that game.
Oh, okay, okay. You're not
So
talking about
that
Vegas. Okay.
game, you had one guy in Adam Sala and his OC and whatnot. The game plan there was they were down by I believe it was either one or two, or the game was tied or something along those lines. I believe they were down by one or two. And their idea is get a few short completions and just kick a 50 plus yard field goal and just try and win that way. That is such a loser way of trying to win a football game. I swear to God, man. And you saw that happen. They lost the game in that scenario. So they tried and do the bare minimum to be in field goal range. They kicked the field goal. They missed the fucking field goal, of course, because it's fucking raining and it's 50 plus yards. So, wow, I'm shocked, man. I'm super shocked. I swear, like there can't be more shocked than that. How do they miss that? So now you see all of that, and it's like this game. You have your QB throw for over 500 yards. You have your QB throw for 5 touchdowns. And what do you do when you need to win that football game? Did you one scenario one keep throwing the football versus a secondary that is shit versus a defense that isn't all that good and that you've been having your way against all damn game, or two, try and make the shitty ass completions to net you 5 yards, 10 yards, 2 yards, 3 yards, and whatnot. Be inside the 50 goal, be inside of the 50 to 60 yard range for your kicker to try and kill the field goal. Which one do you go for after watching the Jets blunder that game the week prior? You do not go for the field goal when your team has been doing as well as they've done in the passing game. So what does Zach Taylor do? He kicks the field goal. And of course, the kicker misses the fucking field goal because it's
Kicker didn't miss
50
the
plus
field goal.
yards. Didn't miss the field goal.
The snap was bubbled.
Uh,
What?
it's
Why do you
it's
want from me? The snap was bubbled. I listen.
It was bumbled, but that thing happens in kicks, in field goals. That's a variant that you need to take into account.
Are
You
you
cannot
fucking
think
serious?
that that is going to
You
be
think all
automatic.
the NFL teams should consider the Tony Romo thing happening to them at all points of the game? Are you fucking
One, one. That was not even close to the Tony Romo fuck up. Like your older got the football, and it's like he he got the ball back into position, but it was too late. So he blundered the ball a bit, but it wasn't like anything major. It wasn't like the Tony Romo one. But you have to account for those scenarios and like those high pressure scenarios in which fuck ups can happen. Like that things happen. You need to consider that it's not an automatic field goal. You need to consider that there might be an issue in terms of like setting up the kick. You might have to account for the fact that your roller might fuck up the snap. Like it happens. It's not a thing that happens often, but it's a thing that happens. You should not be playing for a field goal, especially not one as long as that one. When you're off, I understand if it's like if it's an offense that hasn't been doing great all game. I understand all of that, but it's like they have been killing the Ravens on offense. Like Jamar Chase was going off. T. Higgins was looking like his prime self.
the
Like
actual
they were.
criticism that you should make. Not necessarily that they went for the fucking field goal, but that they ran the ball 3 straight times instead of going to their weapons
That's
at all.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. They are going for that short stuff. They're going for the runs, the short passes, and whatnot, instead of actually going for the big plays that have been working all damn game because they're afraid of going for that. They're playing conservative, and that's what lost them the game in the end. Like they should have just ran their usual game plan that have been run all game that has been getting them that got them over 30 points versus the Ravens that got them over what 500 yards versus the Ravens just in general. Like that was such a pussy move, man. Like you never do that.
So I am going to put this out here. I just Googled Evan McPherson's efficiency from 50 yards or more, and it is 81% for his career. In this season, it's 87.5. So
So you have on his
it,
career, you have a 20% chance that gets fucked.
you're such a fucking
And
negative Nancy, dude.
dude, you know what is the negative, Nancy? Is running the ball 3 times when your offense has been torching the Ravens defense on passing game every single drive that they've had. That's what is a negative, Nancy. That's what being like a shitty coach will do to you. I cannot understand why you would back up that decision. Like how can you back that up? Like it's such a weird mentality for your coach to be like, yeah, you know what? We've scored 38 points on them, right? Our APA per play is like 0.162. They like net yards. They're over 500 net yards, for example. They're getting 6.9 yards per play. By the way, you've gotten 18 passing first downs. You've got a total of 3 rushing first downs. So your efficiency on the passing game is better than your efficiency on the run game. By the way. Um, like everything has been working well for you in the passing game. Why go away from that in that scenario? Like you just do not run the ball 3 times and try and get a field goal that is like 50 plus yards. That's just the dumb play calling. That's what you get, man. So they lost the game. They should have put the ball in Joe Burrow's hand. That's the big moment. That's the moment that will win you the game. They should have gotten the ball into Burrow's hand. They didn't. They lost it. So, but it's okay because he's gonna stay there, and he's gonna get lauded for the Super Bowl that he got to like 3 years ago, living more off of that than the Celtics did for like God knows what, like 16 years from that 2008 championship that they had. So it is what it is.
a hater, man.
Hey, I'm just calling it how I see it. I thought it was a bitch move to go for those 3 runs there. Especially like when Zach Moss was also injured, like he injured his ankle, fairly. I believe it was like around half, if I'm not mistaken. He injured his ankle, then he got back in, and they were running him out there. He didn't look like he was 100%, so they were just running him out there on those 3 downs. That was just a weird move, man. Speaking of coaches that are actually just dumb fucks.
This guy.
What in the actual hell is Sean McDermott still doing as a Buffalo Bills enter?
You're call- you're calling for a guy's head when he's 3-3? The start of the season?
Is 3-2, I believe. So I'm even calling them for their head on 3-2 records.
Okay.
I just can't take stupidity, man. It's like I sat here last week when I was talking about how they got embarrassingly defeated by the Ravens on primetime. And I said, how do you need someone to explain this? Last week, or week 4, that is, I believe it was around 1 minute and 40 seconds left on the clock in the first half. They had 3 timeouts, by the way. Any normal coach would go for short stuff, move up the field, um, plays that don't take up a whole lot of the clock, but you also have the 3 timeouts, so it doesn't really matter. You don't need to gain like the entirety of the field in one play. So most coaches would know that, right? Like most coaches, I mean, those guys are smart. I would hope they're coaching like $1 billion teams. I would hope they're smart. So most guys would just run that game plan. Like you try and get the short stuff, you try to get like 10 yards at a time, 80 yards at a time, for example. In that scenario, like the defense is probably going to give you a bit of a leeway. They won't play you as hard. So you can get yards there. It's not the end of the world. So what do they do there, the Bills? With 3 timeouts and over 1 minute and 40 seconds left in the first half. They pass the ball along 3 times versus the Ravens. They they punt the ball back
Are
and
you
it's like
criticizing the Bills for
a
the
minute.
thing you criticized the Bengals for not doing?
No, it's a completely different scenario. Versus the
Oh
Ravens,
my God.
they're down by, I'll tell you the exact amount that they were down for. Versus the Ravens, they were down 21-3 going into the half. You need to get points there. You need to get something there in that scenario. You're going into the half. You need to get something there. And you have like 1 minute and 40. You're not racing against the clock. You just need to get something done there. You need to get some points. It's completely idiotic in that sense that instead of trying to go up the field and try and get some points, you throw the ball long 3 fucking times in a row and
You mean
punt
the
the
thing
ball
you
back.
wanted the Bengals to do?
But it's completely different scenarios in terms of like the plays, the actual plays. Like, can't you see the difference in scenarios here? Are you actually cheating me, man? One of them was to end the game. And I wasn't even telling you to just throw deep bombs to Jamar Chase. I was telling you to pass the fucking ball instead of running it. And here I'm saying you can pass the ball all you want, just don't throw the ball 40 yards deep down the field, hoping to get everything in one single play. That's all that I'm saying. I'm sorry if like that's some weird thing to say, but it doesn't feel weird in my head. At least it feels like 2 very different scenarios.
This guy.
No, so like I'm sitting there, they get the ball and they put the ball back with like under 1 minute left on the clock. Like they do nothing with the ball. They give the ball back to the Ravens. They finish the half with like 3 timeouts. So that's just perfect, right? So now this week, oh boy, this week instead of all of that, because there are some dumb fucks in that team that apparently like none of them can like actually think about what they're doing. But this game, I'm trying to open up the game log here just so I can tell you the exact thing that happened. Because did you watch the game, by the way?
Which
The
one? The
Houston
Bills
game.
Ravens?
No,
Oh no, no, I did
we're
not.
talking
I did not.
we're talking about Houston Bills. Okay, no
No, I
Houston
did
Bills
not
for
watch
you.
this.
I'm glad for you. I'm glad, truly glad that he
You're
didn't
glad.
have to. You're. I'm glad because you didn't have to endure the travesty. So very glad for you.
Travesty of the Texans winning.
The travesty of the Bills being dumb fucks.
Okay.
The Bills coaching staff being dumb fucks. So, in this scenario for the Bills, so after they fucked up last week versus the Ravens, we'll give them a pass because people learn. Like, of course, people learn. It is what it is. So they mount a pretty little good of a comeback here versus the Houston Texans. They were down again 21-3, no, 17-3 entering the half. They finish the third quarter tied. They kick the field goal. The Texans, they're up by 3. The Bills go down the field and they're down, and now the game is tied. They kick a field goal. The game is tied. 2020. So after that, the Texans get the ball back. The Texans do nothing basically. Like they get a few first downs, but it's nothing like that. Like they put the ball back to the Bills on 4th and 15. Um, on Buffalo 49. They kick the ball, right? The punt. Like, you think. It's 32 seconds left. Sure, the Texans have all 3 timeouts, I believe. If I'm not mistaken, I believe they have all 3. So they have the timeouts. They'll probably stop the clock. But what do you expect in that situation? What did your head coach do that you should do in this situation to try and take the game to the half, to the overtime? Knowing that you're sitting inside of your 3-yard line, by the way. So what do you do in this situation, Angelo? You know football. 32
Are,
seconds left on the clock. The Houston Texans have, if I'm not mistaken, 2 timeouts. What do you do on Buffalo 3?
are you suggesting they try to run the ball in, Alex?
Hey, I'm suggesting you're on your own 3-yard line. You're trying to take this thing to overtime since you have no timeouts and you have 32 seconds left on the clock. I don't see you go the entirety of the field to the other way and try and get like a touchdown or anything that even makes a dent here. So I would think, as any rational human being would, that you run the ball, right? You turn around and you give the ball to James Cook, or you try and run the ball with Josh Allen, right?
Sure, man.
Okay. So I'm not insane, at least. You know what they did?
What did they do?
So 1st and 10, they drop back. Josh Allen throws the ball like 30 plus yards to Keon Coleman. It's almost intercepted. You think, Jesus Christ, that was dumb as fuck. Like, they can't possibly do that again. Ha! Psych. 2nd and 10, 27 seconds left on the clock. Josh Allen drops back, and he throws the ball to Mac Collins. It's almost intercepted. So, what do you think there? Oh my God! Like it's third and it's fourth and no, it's 3rd and 10. It's on Buffalo third. It's on Buffalo 3. They have 21 seconds on the clock now. Now they surely run this thing. Like they were just no fuck that. Josh Allen throws the ball deep. It's incompleted. So you punt the ball back on your own 3-yard line. So the punter is like all the way into the end zone. They punt the ball back 56 yards in. The Houston Texans get the ball back on Buffalo 46. They run the ball. They pass the ball to Tario Kumbawale for 5 yards. The ball is on Buffalo 41. They kick the game-winning field goal. Buffalo Bills lose the game when they had the ball with the game tied with 32 seconds left on the clock. How can an head coach be this dumb, man? Like, surely there's no way that this guy can be this obtuse, right?
So one team you're telling to go for the win, the other team you're telling not to go for the win, is what I'm hearing.
Can you not see the difference in fucking scenarios?
I'm just saying you were asking them to go for the win. You're asking the
I
Bengals
am
to
not.
go for the win. And then you're asking, so what happened to your 20% rule? Well, well, there's a 20% chance of failure if, what happened to that? Why don't you go for the success? Why don't you
I'm.
go for
I
ending the game
am.
now instead of worrying about overtime and having to beat them in overtime? So, what makes it so going
You
for
are.
the
You
win?
are. You were already in overtime, man. That's when you actually try to win the game. Because you know what, boy genius from your guy Zach Taylor, boy genius. I'm telling you, pass the fucking ball because you scored 38 points on the Ravens' head, so you can get your way with them passing the football. Because if you get the field goal, because you're on Baltimore 35, like you got the ball on what? You got the ball off of a Lamar Jackson fumble. So you're on Baltimore 38. You ran the ball 3 times, as you said. You got no gain on the first down. You got 3 yards on the second down. You got no gain on third down, and then you kick a 53-yard field goal. I am saying that maybe, just maybe, you should try and pass the ball a bit, just on second down, for example. After first down run goes kaput, you try and pass the ball on second down, maybe. Because you know what happens if you do not score a 50 plus yard field goal. Boy, genius, you score 38 points on their head, but you're on overtime, which means they score 38 points on your head because your defense is also kind of shit. So you you cannot run the ball in that situation. You need to pass the fucking football. So I'm turning into a different person in terms of accent. It appears like in my head, at least. Like I'm so annoyed at some of this dumb fucks that are coaching in this league because it's just like in this situation, you cannot run the ball and try and kick a 50 plus yard field goal because if you miss, the other team is going to go back all the way and is going to score points on you because your defense can't stop a wet bag that is like, I don't know, lost in a supermarket or some shit. Like, you know what they did prior to that fumble? They ran the ball for 8 yards with Derrick Henry. They ran the ball for 3 yards with Derrick Henry. They ran the ball for 5 yards with Lamar Jackson. They passed the ball for 15 yards with Lamar Jackson. So if they get the ball back for any reason, you're getting scored on because like they're having your way with you as well. So you know what you do when you get the football? You have your way with their defense. That's all you needed to do. You needed to get some more yards. You shouldn't have to settle for a 50 plus yard field goal. You know what the Bills should have done? They should have ran the ball, drained the clock, go to OT, and then pass the fucking ball. Because the Texans secondary also can stop a weight paperback. But you know what they can do? They can play fucking prevent when they know that the only thing that you can do is pass the ball deep. They should have just ran the ball. Like, how are you running 3 plays inside your end zone? Like, if Josh Allen is literally inside his red zone, or his end zone, that is, passing the ball, chunking it 40 yards deep. Can you not back me up on this? Don't you think like this is the most idiotic game plan ever ran for the Texans, for the Bills?
I mean, yeah, for the scenario, it was pretty stupid, but at the same time, like, they were going for the win. Were they not?
You
Is
go
that not
for
the
the
logic they
win.
were going for?
You go for the win on overtime or when you have a realistic chance at getting the win. Like,
But you just said that their defense couldn't stop anything. Their defense is hobbled and very, very like mediocre at this point. So
dude,
yes, they did not want their defense to get on the field against CJ Stroud again.
your defense held CJ Stroud without Nico Collins to, I'll tell you the exact number. They held him to, Jesus Christ, there it is. They held him to 9 points without Nico Collins. across 3 quarters. I would expect them actually to 6 points because they didn't score the last field goal yet. So I would expect that maybe, just maybe, they would be able to hold CJ Stroud to another field goal, maybe, because that offense wasn't moving shit. Like, the run game is non existent. CJ Stroud didn't do a whole lot after Nico Collins left. So maybe, just maybe, you play for OT because you've been playing better than them in the entirety of the second half. You scored 17 points on their head, they scored 6, they scored 3 on yours. Like, you are up on this. You cannot pass the fucking football and go 97 yards in 30 seconds. Like, are we actually. Oh, I'm so annoyed at the stupidity of these calls, man.
Alex,
So,
sometimes you just gotta. Sometimes it's just you gotta take it for what it is, man.
yeah, but it's like you watch these games like all weekends, all the weekends. You watch all these games, and it's like you know that these guys are being paid millions of dollars to coach an NFL team. You know these guys are being paid millions of dollars to look at analytics, to look at stuff that actually matters. And then you watch the product on the field, and you have one guy that is out there coaching this team that is telling this guy, yeah, you know what you should do. By the way, after you had a concussion, for all intents and purposes, it looked like you had a concussion, and we gave you like smelling salts or some shit, just so you could go back in there and play that while you were absolutely concussed, because you looked concussed as fuck on the interviews afterwards. So there's no way in hell that you weren't concussed. So you know what you should do in there? We should put you under more risk that you are going to throw the football, make dumb fucking plays because you're concussed from your 3 yard line. How is this the rationale that an NFL head coach gets to? What chain of events needs to happen for an head coach to take these decisions? Like, I'm dumbfounded by this. Like, I'm actually dumbfounded by this. I think I only have one more rant for you.
Oh, only one more. You sure about that? We still have
There's
more
only
things to
one
talk
more.
about, Alex.
I know, but rent wise, I only have one more. Probably. I'm, yeah, probably. So, Robert Saleh got fired, right?
Yep.
So they lost to the Vikings in London, jolly old London. They lost to the Vikings 17-23. That
Yep.
game wasn't as close as it actually appears. When you look at that game, like they were being dominated for most of it. Like the offense wasn't really getting anything going. Um, like the defense was solid at times. It made like we were talking about it regarding like Justin Jefferson, and your old take on like the elite wide receivers getting early usage and then dropping off as the game goes on, which I think it's a good take. And in that case, it was actually point on because you were talking about it and like in the what second half or the 3 quarters afterwards or something like that. Justin
Yep.
Jefferson had like one catch.
Yep.
So.
He had 3 catches on the first drive and then one catch until I think when I looked it was like either 9 or 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So
So
yeah.
yeah, I think like the rationale was straight on, especially in that case it happened. But yeah, like their offense wasn't really moving the ball all that much. The defense was doing their job at times. Sam Darnold is probably the worst game that he had on the season so far. He made a few mistakes. The defense was on his ass. They made the plays on interceptions and whatnot. So they were playing okay on defense. If you look here, The Jets scored 10 points across the second half. They only scored 7 in the first half. Like it was a game that if you were watching it, you could see that like the Jets were never truly into until the last quarter, in which they were playing a bit better and they were getting into rhythm and whatnot. Um, and then, like, I believe the game is 17-20 in the fourth quarter. I believe it's around 6 minutes left. The Vikings get a few drives, get a few first downs, kick a field goal. Now they're up 17-23. Rodgers has about 3 minutes left. They have some timeouts. You're thinking this is gonna be like an Aaron Rodgers classic. And then it's like he thinks to Alan Lazar, 6 yards. It looked like the Packers Aaron Rodgers there for a bit. 3 minutes left on the clock. He was just like 16 yards to Garrett Wilson, 7 yards to Alan Lazard, 9 yards to Garrett Wilson, 6 yards to Brees Hall. And like the offense was moving along. And then Aaron Rodgers throws an interception to Stephon Gilmore, and they lost the game. So it's they didn't really play offense for like 3 quarters, and then in the fourth quarter they were actually playing well on offense. But it really seemed like it was more improv. And I think, well, this is a loss that wasn't all that damning to Robert Saleh. Like they were in this game until the end. Defense was kind of shitty for most of it, but defense stepped up. Your QB threw 3 picks, so you can't really do much as an head coach in that scenario, right? You think, yeah, they'll do better next week. They face the Bills. Robert Saleh seems to have Josh Allen's number, so it's gonna be fine. And then Robert Saleh gets fired on Tuesday. Gets escorted off the building. By the way, didn't get escorted off the building.
Who's
Coke
that?
had him gazed. Didn't get escorted out of the building, but Robert Saleh does. The guy that has had your defense in a top 5 in most categories in terms of like EPA per play allowed and whatnot. They are top 5 in most advanced analytics. They're top 5 in most categories on defense. And has had to deal with Zach Wilson, Joe Flacco, which again probably the best that they've had for a bit there. Some guy named Johnson that never played anywhere else. A guy from the CFL, by the way, that's also been around there. Tim Boyle. Those are the QBs that has had to work with on offense. The defense has stepped up. The defense has been playing up for this guy. And Woody Johnson gets in there and just fires them, kicks them off the building. He gets escorted out of the building, by the way, which is just, I don't think, I remember the last time a coach got escorted off the building. And you know what happened there? Like
What happened there,
this
Alex?
is all like a theory, probably. Like most people believe
What
this.
happened there, Alex?
There's no confirmation. Woody Johnson said, yeah, I spoke with Aaron Rodgers on Monday, but we didn't speak about firing Robert Saleh. And it's like, is that actually true, man? Like, I don't know if I trust you, because I could see a scenario in which you're like, do you want me to fire the fucker? And like Aaron Rodgers, yeah, you can probably fire the fucker. And like, you can just say, he didn't tell me to fire the coach. He told me to fire the fucker, what can you do? What can you do, man? Tell me to fire the fucker. I fucked the fucker. I didn't really fire the coach. So, and it's just like, why they fired him, apparently. Like, this is all being reported. I don't know what is true or not. But apparently, Robert Saleh saw the amount of shit that his offense has been putting up with the Hackett man that Aaron Rodgers got into the building. And he was like, you know what? I actually need to win games this year, so I'm gonna fire Hackett, and I'm gonna put play calling duties, or I'm not gonna fire him. He can stay around. It's like Aaron Rodgers, like I don't know how you call him, like the best friend ever in the entire world. Like Hackett is to Aaron Rodgers what Adam Gase is to Peyton Manning. It's like it's one of those guys that are a complete dumb fuck, and just the worst coach around, but it's like yeah, you had me for a good year, so I'm gonna back you up. And it's like those are the same guys, so they are getting hires based off the Rodgers and Peyton Manning, and the Jets got both. So the Jets got fucked by two coaches, and got fucked by a QB that didn't actually play for them because Peyton didn't play for them, and whatever Aaron Rodgers is doing isn't actually playing. Like he's strolling around the field, like I don't know what he's doing. He's not playing. He's doing something. So, to save Hackett from losing play calling duties or from being fired, they fire Salah. And it's like, why do you fire Salah? Like, am I missing something here? The guy has had absolutely nothing to work with on offense for 3 years. He finally gets a QB. The offense is still sucks because Hackett is in charge of the offense, and Hackett sucks. So the guy that should be fired, the team had one good team going. The team had one good thing going, and it was the defense. And you fired the guy who built the defense up, who built the scheme of the defense, or at least deploys the system of the defense. So you had one part of the team that sucked completely, and you had the part of the team that was actually good. And you fire the guy that made the good side, and you leave around the guy that is responsible for the offense being shitty. How does that make sense? Like, I need someone to make this make sense because at this point, it really feels like the New York Jets are being. It's a scenario in which the New York Jets are like a prison that is being run by the inmates because it seems like Aaron Rodgers is going wild on these guys. He's pulling the Hollywood Hogan move here. Like it's the NWO all going wild on the Jets locker room.
Yeah, you know. So this is nepotism at its finest, friend. This is what you get.
America.
This is America, yes.
So
But this
yeah,
is
because
what you get because let's be real. This is not the first head coach Aaron Rodgers has gotten fired. And I believe that the New York Jets staff understood the assignment when they got Aaron Rodgers and understood they invested a lot of money and draft capital in him and in recruiting him to New York. And they understand what happens when Aaron Rodgers is not happy. So, yeah, they pick the quarterback over the coach. They like the quarterback better. That's what happens.
it reeks of desperation, though.
I
Like
know because Aaron Rodgers is
they
40
are.
years old.
He's 40 years old. Like he's not your future. He probably doesn't give a shit about
Is
this
Aaron
team.
Rodgers even younger than Robert Saleh? By
It could
5
be
years, he
close.
is. Yes.
Yeah. So it just feels. Well, there was also like a theory, I guess, running around that because Woody Johnson used to be an U.S. ambassador, and I believe it was so like he had a group of friends, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, in the UK. So all of his friends were there. The Jets got embarrassed. He got embarrassed in front of his friends. He fired Robert Saleh, which let me tell you what, if that's how a owner runs their team, that's A plus. I really can't imagine how the Jets haven't won a title yet. Like it's truly mind-boggling to me. If that's the degree of ownership that you have, that's how good of an ownership that you have. It's beyond me why you haven't won a title yet. I really, it's surprising. I would expect at least 3 or 4 by now with that type of ownership that just goes downtown on a 40-plus-year-old QB that is just playing his worst football to date, and decides to back that guy that wants to have an incompetent offensive coordinator. Did you know that there was actually a report, and this is the wildest report that I've heard. So, you know the guy that you like a lot as a coach. I know you like him pretty much. It's Arthur Smith. I know you love him to death. He's your favorite coach
Big
ever.
fan.
I know.
Big fan
Big
of
fan.
Arthur.
Big fan. Angelo is a big fan. You know, he was available this past offseason.
Yes, he was.
So the Jets, or Salah, that is, Salah, had in mind to offer Arthur Smith a role on the offense it wouldn't be an official role in terms of like an OC or assistant anything. It would be more like a consultant role. But his role in there was that he was going to call the offense. So he was the OC in everything but name. So they had to keep Hackett as the OC so Rogers wouldn't get pissed off. Sometimes I don't know if we're talking about a 40-year-old or a 4-year-old. So it's kind of, it mixes up at times in my head. Like if I'm talking about an old man or if I'm talking about a child. But it really feels like a child most of the time. So yeah, Aaron Rodgers got the coach fired to keep his best friend, Nathaniel Hackett, around and stay around the team and just stay around them in general. Uh, A lot of the times I feel like it's to scapegoat him. So it's like Hackett calls the play, Rodgers said, "Fuck you! I'm not gonna run that because that's a dumb fuck play. Who would ever call that? I'm gonna run my shit. The shit goes to shit." Literally he throws like an interception or so, and then he's like, that I'm just running the offense as it's called. And Hackett is like, you got me a job as an head coach. You got me a job as an OC. I'm gonna take the bullets for you, man. And it's like it's their toxic relationship, for example. I actually feel bad that a bit about Nathaniel Hackett purely because he's on the worst end of the toxic relationship. But I guess he's getting millions of dollars off of it. So is that actually a toxic relationship or is it more like a sugar daddy situation?
Oh my god.
That's interesting. I don't know. It's one of the two because you can make both scenarios, but it's definitely one of the two. Like something is off there. So yeah, kind of pissed off about that. It's probably the best head coach that they've had since what Rex Ryan probably, and they let him go off of the QB throwing a temper tantrum. Like I'm sorry if Salah was out there in full gear with a net with a an helmet on and he threw the 3 interceptions to the opposing team. Rogers, I'm really sorry about that. I'm truly sorry about that. That shouldn't have happened, and for that, Salah should be punished. Oh wait, no, it wasn't Salah. It was you. So you should be punished. Can we fire Rogers? Actually, is there a way to fire Rogers?
This guy.
Can we make like a GoFundMe or some shit? So yeah, that's my rant there for the Jets. The Jets are dumb fucks. Woody Johnson is a dumb fuck. Rogers is a dumb fuck. Nathaniel Hackett, I don't know. I feel sorry for you because it's either a sugar daddy situation or it's or a toxic relationship. Maybe it's both. So that's my rant there for the Jets and the Vikings. Damn it, I'm tired.
Damn it, you're fired. Never even got a head coaching gig to begin with.
Oh, okay. What more do you want to talk about?
That's a good question.
We spoke of the Cardinals a bit. We spoke a bit about the Bengals. We spoke a bit about the Jets, the Bills. We can speak about how the Jags almost blew that one again. Like I don't know how you enter the fourth quarter winning by 14 points and you need to sweat out a field goal. But is Tank Bigsby the running back one for the Jacksonville Jaguars rest of
Yeah, I
season?
think so, yeah.
Oh, it's the Tank Bigsby takeover. I like it. I like it. Yeah, fuck ETN, man. I'm just saying fuck everyone. Like I'm in a mood today, huh? I'm like that Simpson meme. Fuck you. No, it's not Simpson. Is it Futurama? Futurama? Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Futurama.
Futurama. Okay. A bit better. In Portuguese, it's Futurama.
This guy.
That's how we call it. So, yeah. But is the meme from there? The fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Or is that from The Office or some shit? No, that's from that show with that it's like Succession but comedy. or like they have a department store or something like that in the family. Don't you know that show? You surely know that show.
Say that again. Sorry.
There's a show that it's basically like Succession, but with comedy.
Succession, but with comedy.
With Jason Bateman.
Okay. I don't know actually.
You don't know about that. Like there's that. Oh my god, what's the name of that? Arrested Development. You don't
Oh,
know
rest.
Arrested Development.
I don't know it actually.
Okay, got it. But I think the meme, the fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, you're cool. Fuck you. It's from that show.
Gotcha.
Okay. So, Jacksonville Jaguars almost pulled that off. Doug Peterson is coaching for his life right now. Trevor Lawrence lives to start another week, I think. Like, they still don't look right. They are just probably. Hey, if the Colts had Anthony Richardson, maybe they would win that game, right?
Anthony Richardson is the
You
worst
know.
quarterback in Indianapolis. Joe Flacco is the man. That's all I'm saying.
Joe Flacco lost to the Jags, though. I'm not sure if you can be considered the man, um, unless you beat the Jags. You know, feels like okay. So Jags win that game, though. They survive to live another day or week. So that's Doug Pearson. He leaves to coach another week. The Dolphins and the Patriots. So the Patriots are going to be starting Drake May this
Oh,
week.
this is that's the thing I want to talk about. Oh boy.
You were
Oh
missing it.
boy.
You were missing it.
Oh.
But we drove it home. Okay, so tell me, what do you think this Drake May start goes like?
It's against the
By the
Houston
way, if
Texans.
I'm not mistaken, just before you go, the Patriots are allowing the most pressure on the QB out of any team. And the Texans do one thing right: pass rush. How do you think this goes, Angela?
Think Drake May is going to struggle mightily.
We sure he's not going to win the game?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Hmm. I did give you the scenario in which maybe, just maybe, they do.
Maybe, just maybe they do.
Maybe, just maybe.
I
But yeah,
think you have too much confidence in Drake May. Once again, he's a rookie quarterback. Was Caleb Williams' first game that impressive?
no.
Was Jaden Daniels? Jaden Daniels, who's easily been the best, most consistent quarterback out of this class to this point, was his first game impressive?
I think you can take out of this class from that sentence, and it's probably still a correct sentence.
Yeah,
I'll
no,
tell you that much.
that's true.
So, but yeah, no. First game was, although I think it was part of the game plan that they were being ultra conservative. But no, like from the start, it didn't look great. That's a start.
So why do you think there's very few quarterbacks I can think of who just out the gate came out like hot as just firing? Patrick Mahomes, and this was after Patrick Mahomes sat a year. CJ Stroud, first game, came out firing. If I'm not mistaken, he eclipsed 400 yards in his first game, if I'm remembering correctly.
I believe so. Yeah,
So
because and
it's
this
not
is important.
it's not very often you see someone just come in their first game and just it's just go from start.
Okay. This is why, my good sir. This is why. Because every week in this beautiful league that we call the National Football League, we have games in which we are dead set that team A or team B is gonna win. Like you don't even put a nickel of doubt that they're gonna lose that game. Like last week, the Seattle Seahawks. Like everyone thought the Seahawks would beat the Giants. Like Giants don't have Malik Nabers, they don't have Devin Singletary. Like they won't be able to do anything with the football. The Seahawks are probably gonna beat them like I don't know 25-5. Some shit like that. It's gonna be terrible for the Giants. Or what? The Giants won. Ah, what about the Cardinals though? The Cardinals are for sure gonna get their ass beat. Like the Niners are this, the Niners are that, the Niners are
Oh my
massive
god.
favorites. They're favorites by 7.5 points. Did you know that, Angelo? You do because you took the 7.5. So I'm sure that you do. Um, and they go in there and oh wait, how did the Cardinals win this game? Oh, they won 24-23 while they were down the entirety of the game. It just feels like every single week there are cases like this, and this feels the prime game. Like everyone and their mama, like the public money, will all be on the Houston Texans. Every square play is gonna be like, I'm gonna take the Bills. I'm gonna take the Texans. The Texans are great, like the Texans are great, Angelo. They were everyone's darling to start the season. I mean, they're a playoff contender, Angelo. I'll tell you what, like they are this amazing team, and then it's like you look at the team, and it's like, so the secondary is kind of shit. But they can rush the passer. Oh, but they don't have Nico Collins. Oh, and Tank Dell doesn't look to be 100%, huh? Oh, but they have Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon is coming off an hamstring injury. But they have Damian Pierce. Well, Damian Pierce has been hot shit since the new coaching staff has changed, and he has an hamstring injury. And they have Cam. No, nobody says Cam Akers outside of the truthers that
God.
are still banging the door. It's Cam Akers time. Those guys are still holding the pitchfork, all five of them, but they are now joined with the Justin Fields troopers also. All five of them with the pitchfork in hand, just hoping that the prince that was promised one day will be back. So you can make a group of 10 with those 10 supporters that they have across the Fields and
Oh,
Hakers fan club. So, and all of a sudden, it's like this team that should have been super hot. You look at their record ATS, they're 1-4. Like ATS is not great, right? So it feels like this team is one of those that is being overhyped over and over and over again. A rookie QB comes in, no one has tape on him. He just goes to town and he bolsters the defense and he bolsters the offense. And all of a sudden, all of these guys are getting boosted and are like they're playing. You're playing in a Madden game and you're on fire, and the guy just came out of nowhere and now he's like plus 10 overall and gives plus 10 overall to every single piece on that team. And all of a sudden, the Patriots win this game 13-10. And it's like, how did the Cardinals win that game? And it's like, how did the Patriots win that game? You know? It just feels like the game that is
so
gonna
here's the
have.
thing. Here's the thing. Here's
Yeah.
the problem with this. Here's the problem with this. So, in scenarios like that, the rookie quarterback in question, or the first time starting quarterback in question, is akin to a game manager, and the overwhelming favorites underperform. So, even in that scenario, Drake May wouldn't get the Patriots the win per se. He would just prevent the Patriots from losing. Which I mean, depending on who you are, would say people would say that may be the same thing, but it's not. And that's the thing is even in your best case scenario, Drake May isn't winning this game. He's just not losing it, and the onus is more on CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans not performing up to par. Because that's essentially what you're saying. What if the
Yes.
Houston Texans don't perform up to par?
Yes.
Okay.
And joined to that the Patriots offense looks a bit better with this rookie than it does with good old washed up Jacoby Brissett. It's just what I'm saying, you know? I'm just saying, what if? Like people like to use the range of outcomes. I say, what if? You know, what if?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. CJ Stroud not performing, or not just CJ Stroud, the Houston Texans as a team not performing up to the standard we expect them is definitely within the range of outcomes, Alex. Don't worry.
It's been the case every week, it appears.
Oh
So
my God.
what you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? You really can't do anything, right? So they are who they are. If they're shit,
This
they're
guy.
telling you they're shit, right? So I mean, you know what? I just think that Drake May is probably a better QB than Jacoby Brissett. At the end of the day, that's basically it. Because I think he will have more mobility. I think he will move better in the pocket. I think he will be able to throw for over 160 yards. That apparently Jacoby Brissett has some sort of like a magical ceiling that he can only throw over that number twice per season, and I believe he has thrown once already over that number. So they are running out, and the Patriots just decided, you know what? Losing to Tyler Huntley is probably enough here, so we're gonna do the right thing, and we're just gonna be like, yeah, time to move on to the rookie. Rookie appears to be a bit better than whatever we're running out there, so I gotta go with the rookie, man.
You gotta go with the rookie, man.
Like
You gotta buy the
it's
hype.
it's the unknown versus the disappointing known. Let's put it like that.
The unknown versus the visible.
We're on
This
fire
guy.
today, Angelo. We're on fire. Okay. Other than that, we saw okay, so Washington Commanders absolutely beat the living shit out of the Cleveland Browns. They win that game 34-13. Josh Daniels still looks like the best QB in the league, apparently. I don't know. I don't think a player has ever won Rookie of the Year and MVP, but we're just it's Jaden Daniels' world, and we're just living in it, maybe. So
It's Jaden Daniels' word. We're just living in it.
it. Okay, so they win that game. Watson is still the QB apparently because Stefanski hasn't got the clearance from ownership to make the right thing. So we're just gonna keep trotting Watson out there, and we're gonna pray that this works. Hey, maybe next week. Maybe next week it's when things change. I'm hopeful because this week they
Thing is
face the
because
Eagles. They
here's the
face the
thing.
Eagles.
I think at this point it's just a pride thing. It's just because I doubt this was just the GM making this decision, especially with all the allegations Deshaun had. This was a GM, this was an ownership, and dare I say, I even bet at the time, this was a coach's decision all wrapped in one. It wasn't just one person in the Browns organization said, or at least I hope not. It wasn't just one person in the Browns organization say, hey, get that guy. Because they ended up giving up multiple firsts. They ended up giving up $230 million guaranteed. So there's a lot of pride attached to admitting that decision was a bad decision and a failure. So, what do you think the tipping point would be where they would just come out and say, yeah, this was a bad decision and we're going to move forward with what we have in house and we're moving off to Sean?
I would hope that it's after they get pounced again by the Eagles. If you lose back to back weeks by like 21 points, I would hope that your QB is benched. So, I would say next week.
I don't
This
think it's next week. I don't think it's
this
next week.
Watson experiment has been going on for what now? Two and a
Uh,
half years?
Yeah, I'm about to say. Well, here's the thing: Watson has been a combination of hurt, suspended, and when he's been out there, it's been ineffectual. How many games has Deshaun Watson actually started for the Cleveland Browns? Hold on, let me look that up. Deshaun,
Enough for us to realize this shit. So
right?
another
But here's the
fuck
thing.
you.
Let's fuck you. 1 second. Let me see what this is because, like you said, he's been here going on 3 years, right?
Yeah.
Right. This man has 12 He's almost at 18 starts in the 3 years he's been here. He has not to this point played a full season's worth of NFL games in a Cleveland Browns uniform. And I'm not saying it's the time thing that Deshaun just needs more time. I'm saying he hasn't playing the games. So even if it was just a Deshaun needs time thing, he hasn't had the time. He's been suspended. He's been hurt. And when he's been out there, he's looked like shit. So if
I
it's a
was gonna
time thing,
finish
how
up
much more
now.
time you want? How much more time do you want?
I don't know. I feel like the 18 games that he played, he might have well as he should have just stayed suspended because they probably would have a better chance at winning those games without Watson.
They probably resign Joe Flacco.
Hey, uh, the thing is, they have Winston on the bench. Am I supposed to believe that Winston can't do anything better than what Deshaun Watson is doing right now?
Oh no, Winston's gonna. So the catch-22 with Winston is he's gonna take a lot of risk and he's gonna turn the ball over a bunch, but he is also gonna put points on the board. Right now, Deshaun can't do. Honestly, even with how poor he's playing, Deshaun can't do either of that right now.
Um, are we sure that he's not turning the ball over? Oh no, he actually didn't have a pick. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm surprised by that. You can see the surprise on my. Oh, he had a fumble loss, so he had one turnover this week, and last week, let's see if he had another turnover. So you
he
can
did.
say that he had back. Okay, so he had back-to-back games of turnovers.
Yeah. I'm looking at his stats now, and his touchdown to interception ratio is surprisingly close to 1-1.
So it's just so much better than Winston, I swear. You know
But
why I
here's the
don't want to
thing.
start
But
Winston?
here's the
Because it
thing.
throws picks. And you know why I'm starting Watson? Because it throws picks. Oh what? No, that's not
Here's
right.
the thing. Watson threw picks at like an elite level. Maybe it is just the game thing, but hold on. Over the course of an yeah, I'm just looking at this. And his interceptions have gone down. So even in his worst interception season, Deshaun was throwing interceptions at a clip of 15 interceptions over the course of a full season. Watson. Winston had a 30 interception season. So even Watson at his worst with interceptions is half as fucking turnover prone or interception prone as we saw Winston be in
So
Tampa Bay.
since you're seeing that, and I'm obviously not, so I obviously don't know what I'm gonna ask. I don't know the answer that you're gonna give. How many touchdowns? Just out of curiosity's sake, how many touchdowns did Winston throw in that season in which he threw the 30 picks?
30.
Oh, okay. So he can throw touchdowns. I don't know. I feel like I prefer 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions instead of I don't know, 10 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and the 5 fumbles lost that Deshaun Watson is going to do all season. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But I feel like that's probably better.
To be fair as well, now that I'm looking at this, Deshaun is also getting sacked at a much higher rate than he was previously. I'm just looking at his sacks numbers and he's already eclipsed in one less game, mind you. One less game than he's started the last 2 seasons. He already has 6 more sacks and he leads the NFL in sacks.
Well,
So
they do have two starting alignment hurt. But I believe I would have to check. But if I'm not mistaken, one of them, the tackle, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the tackle is going to be out for, if not the season, it's going to be close to that. But I'd have to double check on that. So things aren't really going to get better. It is what it is. But yeah, for sure, like part of the issue is the line. It's not all on him. But the thing is, the sacks aren't usually like. At least I like to believe that they aren't usually an offensive line stat, but it's more of a QB stat because we've seen, like, for example, Russell Wilson. Like, what's the issue with Russell Wilson in Seattle? Oh, the O line is shit. Because it's easy to say, like, the O line is shit. Like, Russell Wilson gets sacked a lot. He goes to Denver. He gets sacked a lot. Oh, so what's the issue? I was thinking he's going to Denver. The O line is better in Denver. The weapons are better in Denver. He's going to do great. Oh, no. Now the O line is shit in Denver. Got it. Got it. And then you look at it, it's like, oh, wait, Gino isn't getting sacked as much as Russ did. And it's just been a year since that. What happened? And it's like, oh, so you watch the game and it's just like Russell Wilson is running around like a fucking, I don't know, a dumb fuck trying to extend plays when he's clearly like not at the age to keep extending plays. And he gets sacked because of that. And it's like, okay, so maybe the sacks are a QB stat, I say. So maybe I think like the O line hasn't been up to par for the Browns, but I'm not gonna use that as an excuse for what Watson has been doing. And like he's calling this playing football, I don't know. I feel like this is he's doing something out there on the field. I don't know if it's playing football. So this is back-to-back games in which he didn't throw for over 200 yards, and they were down in both games. So I don't know how you do this. So, but hey, versus the Raiders, he at least had like a 23 to 32 completion to attempt rate. So that's very good. That's very good. Too bad it only went for 176 yards. Yeah, that's not as good. Kind of done with the excuses, like he's just kind of shit. Just give the reins to Winston. Just let him play. Let him do something with this offense because holy cow, this really isn't happening. Like it's time to pull the plug. Okay.
I agree. I'm just
Okay.
playing devil's advocate.
I like the devil's advocate. Yeah, in this case, it might actually be devil's advocate, right? Yeah, so no, kind of true, right? I'll say that much. Okay. After that, I don't know. The Giants. We talked about the Giants a bit and the Seahawks in the previous show as well, if I'm not mistaken. Another disappointing loss there. So I'm commenting on two Seahawks loss now in a single episode. That's fun. I guess we can talk about the Saints. How about them Saints, Angelo? Is Derek Carr still a good QB, Angelo?
Better than Geno Smith, that's for damn sure.
Oh yes. I was thinking that Geno Smith has a better record than Derek Carr. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not all that good at math, but I feel like 500 is better than 2-3. But I'm just gonna say that. But those two games, that's they fooled us. They fooled it. It's like that meme. They got us in the first half, and I'm not gonna lie. That's what the Saints did. They got us in the first half. I'm not gonna lie. I was starting to buy some of it, and now we're going back to earth. Now we're going back to the shitty Saints. Now we're in that good record. Like there are Carr throwing picks in the opening drive when the drive is going good. That's the shit that I remember Derek Carr for. Derek Carr getting hurt because he can't take care of himself. That's the shit that I remember Derek Carr for. Jack Ainer is not playing for the Saints. Spencer Rattler is not playing for the Saints. That's the shit. That's the shit that we like. That's it. Meanwhile, the Chiefs. So the reports of the Travis Kelce demise might have been greatly exaggerated. Leads the team in targets, leads the team in catches. Like as soon as Rashee Rice misses time, it's back to Kelce. It's Kelce. It's the completions. And Juju had a good boost here. Like he had 7 catches, 130 yards. That's fairly good. And Kareem Hunt is the leading running back for the Chiefs, surprisingly enough. So that Carson Steele love was short-lived. He gets in there, and he has like 27, I believe, 27 carries for over $1 and a touchdown. So buck two for him in terms of rushing yards. So for fantasy, he is fine, I would say, until we see the usage of Clyde Edwards-Helaire that should be back after they come off the bye. Now, his ceiling is kind of capped because the receiving work is non-existent. He had one target. That's it. Like Samaje Perine had more targets, for example. So, and now you add Hilaire in there, and it's gonna get creepy. I don't know. I don't know. What would you do if you had Kareem Hunt in redraft? Dynasty, you obviously sell him if you can, but in redraft, are you riding this? Because it's likely that Pacheco is going to be out for the season, at least the regular season. So, for what matters for fantasy, do you think that Kareem Hunt has some value here?
Yeah, probably. I mean, yeah, no, not probably. He does because it's the Kansas City offense. It's the top five offense, and he's going to have red zone opportunities. So I'd say anyone who's in the Kansas City offense getting goal line carries is valuable to some extent in fantasy.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't know. Would you sell though? Would you rather take this and try and flip for a guy? Maybe add on a better running, maybe add on a running back and go for a better one. Maybe add on to a wide receiver and go to a better one. Would you try and make one of those trades, or would you just ride the Kareem Hunt train until it falls off because you got him off of waivers, so it really doesn't matter all that much.
If you're in redraft, yeah, you ride the wave. If you're
Right
in
away
dynasty, you probably try to sell him to a contender.
for like what, the third?
Whatever you can get, yeah. Second,
Yeah,
third,
basically. I mean, he was dead in the water, so whatever you can get is profit.
exactly.
Okay, are you worried about Chris Olave? 4 targets, 2 catches, 10 yards.
No, I'm not worried about Christian Olave at all. I'm worried about the
Yes.
Saints offense. I am worried about the Saints off. I'm starting to get worried about the Saints offense, but like I know
But
Chris
now
Olave.
they get an improve at QB, so it's kind of okay.
Oh, stop this! Stop the slander.
I don't know. I
Derek
think you're
Carr
gonna have to
slander.
change your tune. If you want to keep backing the Saints QB as better than Geno Smith, you might have to change it to Spencer Rattler. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to start asking: Is are you ready to admit that Derek Carr is a worse QB than Spencer Rattler? That could be coming very soon.
This guy. This motherfucker, man.
So,
Anything to bash on Derek Carr. That's what I'm hearing.
hey, when you deserve to be bashed, you deserve to be bashed.
No, you don't.
So, I believe you watched most of Sunday Night Football, no? Or you watched a good bit of Sunday Night Football,
You mean
the
Thursday
Cowboys
Night Football?
Steelers.
Oh, no, okay, Cowboys Steelers. I watched like half of it to halftime because I couldn't watch it anymore. It was
Okay,
it was like
got it.
watching two teams who don't want to win a football game.
Yeah, most definitely looked like that. I watched the game back in the morning. It looked just atrocious. You know, I had a bet on this game, and it's like I was watching this game and I was thrilled. My bets for this game were just banking on the low touchdowns, basically. So I had touchdowns, a sort of a mini touchdown ladder unders. So I had under 2.5 touchdowns on the game, and under 3.5 touchdowns on the game. And if I'm not, yeah, that's it. I believe that's the two plays that I had here. I really thought like shitty weather, like two teams with shitty defenses. I was even thinking maybe like I don't know, a 9-6 game was in the cards here. And I'm watching this game and I'm like, going into the third quarter, no touchdowns. Third quarter ends, one touchdown. And I'm like, I made bank, man. I'm not even going to show up to the show with Angelo. Fuck him as well. I'm going to go to. And then it's like, oh, shit. So they really scored 3 touchdowns in the last quarter, huh? Well, fuck them, huh?
Yeah.
So that left a sour taste in my mouth.
Yep. You thought? Yep. They snatched fucking defeat from the jaws of victory. Enjoy.
Yeah, yeah, they really did, right? I don't know. It appears as if Justin Fields is going to start again. I don't know how. because,
So
like, how do you not win a game in which your defense got 3 turnovers?
yeah, yeah, that's a problem. I think the last game was so you weren't like last week, but the week before you were like, oh, this is the week Justin Fields gets no. Like he have a bad drive? Yes. Did he play a good overall game? Also, yes. That's not the game you benched him. The game against the Cowboys, there's your argument. There was your argument game. So I think if we see
Again,
another that, then yeah, we're gonna see Russ.
again, if they need to score over 20 points, they can't win this game with Justin Fields. Because the way that they're deploying Fields is, I need you to go, it's like they have a baby. I need you to go in there and not fuck shit up. I need you to go in there. I need you to go the absolute minimum amount of stuff. And I need you to try and win and not lose us the game. Don't fuck this shit up. And it's like, and Fields just nods his head and he goes out there and he's throwing the passes and he throws 27 passes. 27, Angelo. He nearly threw 30 passes. And out of that, he musters a ridiculous 131 yards. I didn't know it. I didn't even know if that was possible. I, I'm surprised. His long was 21 yards. So you take that away, he had 26 attempts for a buck 10. It's like, how is this an NFL offense? Like, this is a Canadian Football League offense, maybe. Like, here's an offense that the defense should be pissed off at. How do we guys, the defense, get you 3 turnovers, and the only thing that you can muster is 17 points with a buck 31 yards passing? It's like, what in the actual fuck, man? And Justin Fields is still starting. Are you joking? Are you? I don't know, man. Everyone in there seems pissed. Pickens seems pissed. He had like 7 targets. He only got 3 catches, 26 yards. That's it. No one is even going over 40 yards receiving, by the way. Like Connor Hayward had 2 catches for 23 yards. Pat Fryermuth, 22 yards. Najee Harris leads the team in receiving yards. Najee Harris with 35. So, and they look at the offense and it's like, well, that's good enough, guys. We're going to do this again next week. Bye. It's like, I don't know, man. I feel like this Justin Fields thing is about to go down. And if they can't win a game in which they need to score over 20 points, well, let me tell you what. After the Giants, they face at Washington, Baltimore, then they face the Browns. Whatever. You can score like 10 and win. At the Bengals, the Browns again, or whatever. At the Eagles, at the Ravens, KC, and the Bengals again. If you can score 20 points, I don't know how you are winning most of those games, if any. So, are you just? How are we gonna? When are we going to switch this shit up? Like, is it gonna be anytime soon, or because it kind of feels like you're running out of time. Like, this is the part of the season in which you need to actually get some wins, and you're not doing that. And it's actually this week it is the Raiders, and then it's Jets, and then it's the Giants. I had it mixed up here. So this is the part of the season in which you actually need to win some games. If you start losing here, you're kind of fucked for the playoffs. So I think after they struggle versus the Raiders, I wouldn't be surprised if Fields is benched halfway through the game. Here's the take for you. If they struggle the first half of the Raiders,
That's an interesting
Russ
take.
plays the second half.
I don't know if that. I could see it, but I'm not sure I'm confident in saying I could see Mike Tomlin just benching him halfway through the game. I don't know.
Yeah. I
How
mean, I'm
often
seeing
has
the
how
scenario.
often has it happened? Did Mike Tomlin ever bench like Mason Rudolph or someone else? Because I know they had a
I
string back.
th- I think they benched Mason Rudolph for the Hodges, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
So I believe that happened. And then that either won them the game or got them very close. I remember something like that. Or it was Duck benched for Rudolph. Something like that happened. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Like they are down in that game by like 10 points and like the writing is on the wall. The Raiders are going to score 20. We need to get someone in there that is actually QB. But on the positive side, I don't know if Jalen Warren is going to be back. I know that Patterson is out, so they can still use Justin Fields just behind Russell Wilson, getting the handoffs. Okay, anything else that we should talk about? Do you see anything?
We got to talk about Drake May and the Patriots. We got to talk about you being wrong as always on Thursday night. We got to talk about the Bengals. We got to talk about the Jets.
The
Is there a
Dunfall
noteworthy
chat.
team?
Is there a what?
Is there a noteworthy team? We got to talk about the Cowboys by extension. We
And
got
the
to talk
Cowboys
about
are just the team that wanted to lose that game the least. So
yeah.
yes, we can
I
speak
guess
about the Bears a bit. Like the Bears, they're the Bears. They're finally doing their thing. Like all of the people that were like, "Oh my God, Caleb Williams, he's so terrible. He's another bust." Oh, shut the fuck up! Like the minute that the guy has some time to pass and he has anything like resembling of a running game, he's playing great. Like he's a rookie. He's developing. What more do you want? Bears 3-2. That division is probably the best in the NFL, if I'm not mistaken. Like it's the Lions, it's the Packers, it's the Bears, it's the Vikings. Best division in the NFL by like a mile, probably. Like this Bears team is actually very good. I would say the defense is very good, and Caleb, when he has time, he can do a whole lot of things in that pocket. Like his arm is great. So, hey Austin, if you're listening to this, you were wrong.
you were wrong.
And for the team of the show, fuck you. You were wrong. Okay. Other than that, I believe we're mostly done. I think we talked about all of the games. Like the only game that we didn't talk about, if I'm seeing this right, is it's the Raiders and the Broncos,
I don't
which I
want to
guess we
talk
can
about
just say that Minshew got benched. So there you
that.
go. There's Minshew for you. We got AOC in, which I guess in your guys' term is not the best nickname to use for a guy like this. But here we go. Especially because we're in the month in which you guys have the elections, or is that next month?
Our election is in November. That is next.
Okay, November. So AOC comes right in time to just throw a throw a wrench into things. Now you don't know who you're talking about when you're speaking when you're saying AOC, if it's Aidan O'Connell or the politician. So here you go. Aidan O'Connell is in. Did great. I mean, over three more attempts than Minshew, and he passed for 94 yards. This is the mid-off that we expected at the Raiders QB position. It's looking great, really. Good
Was
stuff, guys. And
yeah.
that's it.
I do think I don't know if this was an Antonio Pierce decision or maybe it was a Raider staff decision, but the idea of not addressing the quarterback position basically at all, just bringing in Minshew and being like, "Well, that's it."
I
I don't know.
think they got screwed on that one because they wanted Penix. And then the Falcons were like, oh, nope, we're going to take this guy. And the Raiders were just left with the dick in their hands, basically.
Hmm.
That's it. They were left with AOC and Gardner Minshew. That's the guys that we got. Okay. Anything else you want to add?
No, good.
We're an hour and 45 minutes into this. So if you stayed up for this amount of time, thank you guys. Thank you for sticking around. If you're listening on the Apple Podcasts app, if you're listening on the Spotify app, if you're listening wherever you're listening to your podcast, make sure to leave us a 5-star review. Make sure to turn on the auto downloads. If possible, make sure to leave us a comment as well. I know it's possible on, for example, Spotify. So please do. Really helps out the show. And also, if you are listening on YouTube's, you know what to do. Just do all the things that you've been doing for quite a while now. The likes, the subscribes, the notifications, the comments. You're probably going to be listening to this when, Angelo?
As of right now, Sunday. You know what? I'm just gonna
Sunday.
keep it
You're
on Sunday. I'm just gonna keep it on Sunday. We're scheduling this on Sunday.
So Sunday, you'll be listening to this prior to the show prior to the football starting. Probably prior to the England game even starting, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I'll release at
So
6 a.m. on Sunday because
okay.
we do have a London game, if I'm not
So
mistaken, an early
London game. So you guys will be listening to this prior to the London game, hopefully. So thank you very much. And yeah, enjoy football, enjoy your Sunday, and we'll be back on next week.
Yep. See you guys.